let's talk a little bit through the top 10 rivals team rankings. So we got USC on top, Georgia sitting there at 2, Notre Dame having a great offseason at number 3, Texas 4, A&M 5. Bama rounded out by Michigan at number 10. Adam, what's the biggest surprise right now when you're looking at this top 10?
Yeah, I think it's Texas A&M. I mean, they lost 4 of their last 5 games. There was no real momentum going into the offseason. You kind of get the sense that they can emerge as that team in the SEC to watch, but we've been saying that since the Jimbo Fisher days. Like, yeah, they're going to be the team that really emerges and makes a threat. Texas went in there last year and really dominated them in that game, so that could hurt in-state recruiting. But they've been phenomenal on the recruiting trail, and a lot of kids say that just Mike Elko's genuineness, and of course NIL is playing a factor. Let's not be silly, but the relationships that Mike Elko and his staff built have been huge. To go into Southern California, to get Brandon Arrington, to beat Oregon for him, to beat Georgia and Clemson for Bryce Perry Wright. A lot of people thought KJ Edwards was going to Texas. He commits to Texas A&M after his visit. Loves the coaches there. To go back into Georgia for Tristan Givens and to keep Aaron Gregory and Jordan Carter. To go to South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is basically you drive over to Columbia and play for the Gamecocks. Tamarion Watkins commits to Texas A&M. So what Elko has done has been really smart. He's used a lot of in-state recruiting tactics to keep kids home, but then he's utilized a lot of those relationships that he built at Duke to stay in the Southeast, to get into Georgia and the Carolinas and get kids there. So I think if they have a good season, which is certainly in the cards, they're to get even better. But what they've done so far has been a surprise.
Yeah, my biggest surprise, I'll maybe go the opposite way on this. I'm a little surprised that Ohio State's sitting at number 9 right now, coming off a national championship. Not to say that they have a bad class by any means. It's a very good class, but missing on Jackson Cantwell, probably going to miss on Savion Hyder, missing on Carter Meadows. There's been some others. Just not really cleaning up the way that I thought they would coming off a national championship. And maybe they'll turn that around and maybe the season will be different and there's still plenty of time for some flips. But I think Ohio State sitting there at 9 is a bit surprising. So that leads me to my next question. Who's a team that you think not in the top 10 right now that will finish inside the top 10 when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot here and say Oklahoma, and
okay,
we're going to see how this responds on the message boards. But Jake Krell is very much within the distance there to go to Oklahoma, and I think that the Sooners have been pouring into him for months. When he feels maybe he's a little bit under recruited by some other schools, they've really made him a priority. I think that probably pays off in the end, unless Texas comes in there and swoops them up. Davion Gross is another kid. So if they can kind of get off the schneid here where Venables is flip-flopping between 6 and 7 seasons and really sort of get something together, I think with John Mateer and a lot of other guys in that offense now, that can certainly help. There will be some flips down the stretch. But I think they can kind of make a little bit of a run if things could get interesting in Norman.
All right. I'm going to go with Miami. They're sitting there at number 11 right now, so it's not that big of a stretch to see them inside. But it could go one of two ways because it's been a very odd offseason, in my opinion. Landing Jackson Cantwell, which undoubtedly was a huge NIL play, a huge win for Miami to pull not just the number 1 prospect at the position, but in the country. But then after that, I mean, you're unable to keep Calvin Russell from Syracuse, Derek Cooper, J.J. Johnson. It's been miss after miss after miss for Miami. So I'm thinking like maybe something's up or they're just gearing up for a big run this fall. We'll see. I guarantee this. I don't think they finish at 11. They either finish well inside the top 10 or well outside the top 10. I don't know, but they won't finish at 11. What do you think about Miami recruiting this offseason? A little bit of a tease maybe after that Jackson Cantwell. We haven't seen much from them.
Yeah, I think so. And you're ponying up a lot of money for Jackson Cantwell. And I know he said that it didn't have to do with NIL. It had to do with the relationships. But come on, he had relationships everywhere. When you hire
you don't have Drew Rosenhaus sitting at the table if it's not about money.
Right. Right, right. And like we've talked about before, this is July. Let the winnings get piled up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more heading into the season. I think a lot of people want to see Mario Cristobal have a better season, and then the money comes in. There's not a shortage of money in South Florida. So I think that, a Derek Cooper is an interesting one. Like you said, does JJ Johnson possibly stay closer to home and go across over to Miami? There are definitely ones that are on the radar to get. So I think I agree with you, Josh. I think they're a top 5, 6 team if things go well, but if not, they could be 14, 15, 16.
Right. All right. Let's wrap this up. Let's give our predictions. How do you think the top 5 is going to look? Will it look exactly like it does right now with USC, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, and Texas A&M? Take a stab at your top 5 when the ink dries.
Yeah, take a stab at what my 4-year-old is going to do today. I mean, there's so many months and so many games to be played, not only on the field but in recruiting, and what rev share looks like and what third-party NIL deals look like from Deloitte being approved or not approved. It's going to be a crazy fall, and I'm here for it all. I love it. I love the soap opera of it. I think it's so entertaining. I'm gonna say USC sticks at number 1, and the reason is I just don't see a lot of guys flipping out of there
Yeah.
if they put together a decent enough season. And NIL money is holding them sort of in place there. So I think it's going to go USC, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and I'm going to take your pick. I'm switching out Oregon. I'm putting Miami in there at number 5. I think they make a run late with a lot of South Florida kids. I think there's just too much pride in South Florida high school football. There are too many connections with that coaching staff to those guys, and there's just too much money floating around. I think Miami makes a run late and gets into that top 5.
Okay. I'm gonna go Texas number 1. I'm gonna go USC number 2, Georgia at 3. I'm not bumping Notre Dame out of the top 5. I'm gonna put them at 4 to finish, and then my 5th spot. Man, this is hard. I don't know if I want to go. I'll go Oregon. I'll go Oregon over Alabama in my 5 spot. But this is hard. This is going to be like a game of musical chairs all the way to the end. You're not going to know who's finishing where until the music stops.